In the line of duty, the barrier between life and death could come down to a bulletproof vest.
Manufacturers give those bulletproof vests a shelf life. Most didn't know this, of 5 years, a time frame law enforcement agencies really work hard to abide by. But not all. What News Channel 11's Kylie McGivern found will have a lot of you shaking your heads. Kylie?
Josh and Sarah, in the past month, I've tracked down the expiration dates for bulletproof vests in the 7 Tennessee counties in our viewing area and found some that date back to when Bill Clinton was president. In law enforcement agencies across the nation, there are 2 lines of defense officers don't leave home without: a gun and a bulletproof vest.
That might be my lifeline to go back to my family at the end of the shift.
There's so many things in this day and time that can happen. It doesn't matter if you just get out at a convenience store, you walk into a school, it's a dangerous world.
In Sullivan County, it's not surprising Sheriff Wayne Anderson requires every officer to wear their bulletproof vest. But what many may not realize, each of those vests have an expiration date.
They deteriorate over the years because of perspiration, wear and tear.
I asked a representative from Galls, a company that sells bulletproof vests, to break down what the 5-year shelf life the National Institute of Justice places on body armor really means.
Those 5 years is the absolute that they guarantee no failure from an impact of a weapon of the size that it's been certified for. After those 5 years, it's still viable probably, but it's not guaranteed.
After that time frame, if something were to happen,
if it's the chief, the county commission, whoever is making the decision takes that full financial responsibility.
If it was a time period beyond 5 years, would you feel good going home at night thinking, I'm doing everything I can to protect my officers?
No.
In Greene County, the number of bulletproof vests outside of that 5-year range is dramatically more than those that are. A risk Sheriff Pat Hankins learned the first time he took inventory.
What we discovered is that we had 40 men that were wearing vests at this time that were out of date.
40 men?
Yes.
Sheriff Hankins says a majority of the vests aren't just a couple months or even a couple of years old. Try a decade or even more.
The oldest vest I had was 16 years old.
Is an officer currently wearing that vest?
Yes, it is.
And that is how it'll remain. 2/3 of Greene County officers strapping themselves in bulletproof vests day in and day out that may or may not be effective until replacements arrive in about another month. We saw that statistic come alive during our visit to Greene County.
It's 11 years old this month.
See, you can't even see the date of issue. Right?
One patrol officer agreed to talk with us, but for safety concerns, we've concealed his identity. When did you get this vest that you're wearing now?
2006.
Now we're in 2014. How does it make you feel? I mean, every day in your line of duty wearing a vest that is that old?
It's a little bit disconcerting, especially when you have kids at home.
There was only one person we could bring these serious concerns to for explanation. Former Sheriff Steve Burns, whose 16-year reign over the department ended in September. He spoke candidly on several occasions, but denied an on-camera interview. Burns emphasized, quote, I would never put a vest on an officer that I felt was unsafe, and said a lot of those vests are still in good shape beyond the expiration date.
I mean, it's not a dishwasher that we're dealing with that has got a 1-year warranty, and yes, it continues to work on. Who knows? Who's going to stand behind that vest and let someone shoot them after a year to find out if it does work? If the manufacturer tells me it's a 5-year warranty, I believe the manufacturer.
And last time you and I talked, you didn't deny that there very well could be and were vests that were between 10 and 16 years old. Burns said, quote, I didn't monitor them. I had a training officer that worked with my chief deputy. You're making it sound like we didn't do anything. That's just not true. Just because he wants to order 40 vests doesn't mean we didn't keep safe vests on our officers. Burns told me other departments may very well be in similar situations with expired vests. But a public records request revealed not so. These 5 counties are all within the 5-year range, and Carter County should have a handful of new vests by the new year. There's a federal grant designed solely to help provide bullet-resistant body armor for officers. As for Burns, the most recent time we can confirm he received that federal grant money for new vests was 2012.
I feel it hadn't been cut correctly in the first place, and it should come to the belly button. And here's the top of the vest.
Burns stands by what he said, that he never put an officer in danger.
There's not a county or city around here that can't afford a vest for their officers. I don't believe it. They can't afford not to buy them.
In the midst of putting themselves in harm's way every day, it's a risk surrounding departments and Greene County moving forward are not willing to take.
It shouldn't have never happened. And I hope that in my term as sheriff here that it never will happen.
Today I went back to Greene County as close to 50 officers were fitted for new bulletproof vests, about 10 more than the department originally anticipated. A grant through the Department of Homeland Security will pay for a majority of them. And Josh, it's also important to note that former Sheriff Steve Burns, who we heard from, urged us to call the county's purchasing department, saying that they bought lots of vests. In the last 5 years, Greene County purchased 22 level 2 vests for its officers. The thing is, there's roughly about 60 officers that are assigned to bulletproof vests.
Great work, Kylie McGivern. Thank you. Sarah?